Good morning. It's been a while since I was here with you last, and I'm glad to be back so we can continue on our spiritual journey. We opened the worship year with homecoming and water communion. Each of you stated your intention for the new year and what you will bring to community. Then we marked the Jewish High Holy Days with a reminder that no matter how bad things seem, we can begin again in love. We noted the importance of remembering our ancestors and celebrated them with our own ofrenda. We opened a difficult conversation on race with what it's like to be a black UU. This one was particularly challenging for me. First, because I had to come to grips with my own feelings on the subject and then put them into words. It actually ended up being quite liberating. But the harder part came after the service, when one person shared with me their very candid and honest feelings about black people. And I'll tell you the truth, it hurt me very deeply. And I'm still processing it with the help of my teaching pastor and other colleagues. But I'm grateful for it, because it was an opportunity to learn. It will become part of my experience and my training to be a minister and to know what to do when those things happen. So every day, the universe presents us with these learning experiences. Those moments when we must choose what we'll take from the things that happen to us. Will we pause to reflect, or hurry on in the hustle and bustle of our busy lives? Will we look for the lesson in our experiences, or will we just shrug them off and keep it moving? There's much we can learn from the people who come into our lives and from the things that happen to us. Will we be grateful for those people and for those things? Will we be grateful for those teachable moments? So gratitude is today's stop on our spiritual journey. We'll talk about what it is, the importance of expressing it regularly, and making it part of our daily existence. So let's get to it. Friday, November 20th, was International Transgender Day of Remembrance. On this day, we pause to hold up with love those who lost their lives to discrimination, intolerance, and hatred. So far in 2015, we've lost at least 21 transgender people, most of them transgender women of color. In the words of Rabbi Reuben Zellman, we remember those who have died because they would not hide, or did not pass, or did pass, or stood too proud, or looked like someone who did. We mourn their senseless deaths and give thanks for their lives, for their teaching, and for the brief glow of each holy flame. We pray for the strength to carry on their legacy of vision, bravery, and love. As we remember them, we remember with them the thousands more who have taken their own lives. We pray for resolve to root out the injustice, ignorance, and cruelty that grow despair. And we pray that all those who perpetrate hate and violence will speedily come to understand that creation has many faces, many genders, and many holy expressions. In this room today, we lift up with love those who are celebrating moments of happiness, joy, and gladness. We lift up with love those who are struggling through the deaths of illness, grief, and despair. We enfold them in the warmth of community and offer comfort and the hope of healing for their wounded hearts. For those we have named, for those whose names we do not know, and for those whose names are carefully guarded in our hearts, we now pause for a moment of gratitude, silent meditation, and prayer.
We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us, We give us because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big, though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too, but we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is, first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together, we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we made something greater from the difference.
If you didn't know, this Thursday is Thanksgiving. A legal holiday here in the United States, parts of Canada, some parts of Australia, and a few other countries in the world. The tradition of Thanksgiving, or fall harvest feast, began in Europe in the 1500s. The first occurrence of what we in America call Thanksgiving happened in 1621 in Plymouth, Massachusetts. The European newcomers didn't know much about farming in the area and had made friends with the local Wampanoag tribe and learned how to plant corn, how to fish, how to gather nuts and berries. Soon, they entered into kind of an arrangement whereby the Wampanoag would protect the novice New Englanders. So the story goes that in the fall, the Pilgrims had experienced their first good harvest of crops and were so excited that they did what is logical, I guess, and decided to shoot their guns in the air. Massasoit, the leader of the Wampanoag tribe, thinking that the plantation was under attack, took 90 warriors with him to the Pilgrim camp, intending to protect his friends. When they got there, the Pilgrims explained that no, there wasn't any danger. They were just celebrating and invited the Native Americans to stay for a harvest feast. The problem was that there wasn't enough food for everybody. So Massasoit and his warriors went out and killed 5 deer. They brought them back, roasted them, and everybody had an amazing feast that lasted 3 days. There probably wasn't any turkey there. I think that came a little later, but there was definitely squash and some berries and things like that. Interestingly, though, many years later, we've gone from 100,000 Wampanoag to probably 5,000 of them. And when asked recently about Thanksgiving, the leader said, "It's a day of sorrow for us. We thought we were helping and giving aid, and who knew that it would turn out to be the most costly mistake we ever could have made." So over the next several years, many, many years, Thanksgiving has become a time for families and friends to gather together and share a meal that typically now does feature turkey rather than venison, a time when we express our gratitude for the blessings we've received. But has Thanksgiving lost its meaning? Is it still about gathering together and being grateful? While at a doctor's appointment last week, I was looking at some of the magazines in the waiting room. And the articles were how to survive Thanksgiving with your family, how not to go crazy at Thanksgiving. And even watching TV, there are movies now about that dreaded family holiday dinner. When did being together with your family become something that you have to survive? I actually enjoy my family, except for one cousin. So Thanksgiving has become kind of a production for us. It's about having just the right food, just the right wine, just the right decorations. Who's coming? What time will they come? Who's going to bring what? Where will the kids sit? And then there's so much food too much food. We talk about turkey coma. We joke about eating so much that we have to loosen our belts. When did gluttony become a part of giving thanks? For many, Thanksgiving is just a speed bump on the road to Christmas. We used to say that it was the start of the Christmas holiday, but nowadays, Christmas stuff is in the stores at Halloween. I listen to XM satellite radio in my car all the time. The 24-hour Christmas channel started 2 weeks ago. Remember when we used to talk about Black Friday? Well, now you don't even have to wait until Friday. The stores are open on Thanksgiving Day. So instead of a time to pause and give thanks, for some, Thanksgiving is just a pre-shopping meal that they have before they head to the mall. There are those who look for opportunities to serve those less fortunate on Thanksgiving Day. Food cupboards, soup kitchens, and organizations who feed the homeless see their largest number of volunteers on Thanksgiving Day. And we're proud of ourselves for coming out to help on that day. And don't get me wrong, I work for an organization that does that sort of thing. I'm grateful for the people who do come to volunteer. But what about the other days of the year? For many, Thanksgiving is the day of the year when they help others. Thanksgiving is the day when they say thanks. It's the day that they express gratitude. And what is this gratitude? For what are we giving thanks? Often when we think of gratitude, we think of giving thanks for things that we've received or things that have been done for us. Maybe another way of looking at it is relief. Gratitude is that feeling of relief we have when we're spared a tragedy or an inconvenience. You know that feeling when you're driving too fast on I-95 and you get pulled over by a cop. For whatever reason, he doesn't give you a ticket that day. What do? Thank you. You make a mistake at work, but you get to fix it before your boss finds out. Oh, thank you. Maybe it's something more serious. Maybe you haven't been exercising as you should. You don't eat as well as you should. You don't follow your doctor's advice as you should. And then something happens. But by grace, by whatever, you're spared. Your health crisis passes. Thank you. We're grateful then. These are examples of spontaneous gratitude, exclamations of relief that we didn't get that ticket, didn't get fired, don't have a disease. It's still gratitude, but I'm talking about something deeper today. Angeles Arian says, gratitude is essentially the recognition of the unearned increments of value in one's experience. The acknowledgement of the positive things that come our way in that we did not actively work toward or ask for. It's the intentional feeling we experience in response to the act of another. Ahmed Amin says, gratitude is a state of mind that arises when you affirm a good thing in your life that comes from outside yourself, or when you notice and relish little pleasures. Think of Jen's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. Benedictine monk, Brother David Stendhal Rast, says that gratefulness is the inner gesture of giving meaning to our life by receiving life as a gift. You get the idea. This kind of gratitude is more than a feeling. It's a way of life. It's more than a spontaneous response. It's an intentional choice we make. Or, as writer Alexis de Tocqueville once described it, gratitude is a habit of the heart. It's a deeply felt inner truth, a delicate art form to be practiced and refined over the course of a lifetime. We can choose to be grateful and to appreciate the blessings in our lives and our place in the larger world, or we can take them for granted. Referring back to Amin, gratitude acknowledges connection, and perhaps for this reason, it's central to spiritual traditions worldwide. When we contemplate our place in the intricate, interdependent network of life, we feel wonder and joy. That realization can lead us to express thanksgiving. Makes sense. Doctors Robert Emmons and Robin Stearns have done a lot of research on gratitude and the science of being thankful. And if you haven't seen any of it, it's fascinating work. They write that there's a distinctive feeling associated with gratitude, a kind of utter awe, indescribable and beyond expression. It feels like being aligned with truth and the closest sense of who or what God is. Gratitude is seeing with your eyes all the way open. It's having far vision and close-up seeing at the same time. In Buddhism, there's a name for this. It's called vipassana. That word, literally translated, means clear seeing, and it refers to moment-to-moment mindfulness. But gratitude is more than just being in the present moment. It's the result of the present moment. It's what happens when we step into the moment. Gratitude sees without judgment, recognizes the wisdom of life as it is, and has an expansive, all-encompassing quality that is a powerful paradigm shifter. Viewing life through the lens of gratitude means seeing through the eyes of love, comprehending the wholeness and perfection of life as it is, without mistakes. Gratitude arises out of that sense of deep trust and humility, the not knowing mind that expands the sense of possibilities beyond any limits. And there are many benefits associated with living a life filled with gratitude. In addition to that sense of wonder and joy, there's also an aspect of physical well-being associated with living in gratitude. Here are 7 benefits. 1, it opens the door to more relationships. When you're giving off good energy, you're open to receiving good energy. People will be drawn to you, and you'll be more likely to connect. And they're more likely to be good connections, because that's, after all, what it's all about. 2, it improves your physical health. People who live in gratitude are more likely to take care of themselves, more likely to exercise, and more likely to see their doctor regularly and to follow their advice. It improves psychological health. People who live in gratitude tend to be happier in general and suffer less from depression. It enhances empathy and reduces aggression. Those who practice gratitude regularly show more sensitivity and empathy for their fellow humans. They have a decreased desire for revenge and are less likely to retaliate when someone hurts them. It improves your sleep quality. Those who live in gratitude sleep better, more restful. Especially those who spend 15 minutes before bedtime reflecting on the things for which they're grateful. Being grateful improves your self-esteem. Those who live in gratitude are less resentful of others. They're not always worried about somebody has more than I do. They're confident in what they have, and they're able to appreciate when others achieve as well. And lastly, it increases your mental strength. Those who practice gratitude regularly are better equipped to handle and overcome traumatic events. And I want to stay on that seventh benefit for a second. Within the last week, 129 people were killed in terrorist attacks in Paris. Suicide bombings in Beirut killed more than 40. Almost 20 were killed at a hotel in Mali. And it's easy to think these are just things that are happening on the other side of the world. It's not happening here, but it is happening here. A 7-year-old girl disappeared from a youth football game in Kentucky about a week ago. When her parents realized that she was gone, they stopped the game and they looked for her. Within a half an hour, they found her body. What had been a fun afternoon turned into a tragedy. You can bring it even closer to home. On Friday, I sat in the room and listened to Mayor Nutter give an update on poverty in the city of Philadelphia. Of the nation's top 10 largest cities, at 26.3%, Philadelphia is not only the poorest, it has the highest deep poverty rate. Deep poverty is when you make less than half of the federal poverty guideline. 12.3% of the population of Philadelphia lives in deep poverty. Bring it even closer. In UU services around this area right now this morning, probably in this room today, there are people struggling with unemployment or underemployment, with loneliness, with sickness, with grief. Maybe you have a job, but you don't like it and it stresses you out. Maybe you're a caregiver, buckling under the weight of all the responsibility that comes along with that. Maybe there are more bills this month than income, and you don't know how you're going to make the difference. How on earth are we supposed to be grateful when there's so much pain and suffering in the world today? I say we just do. This is the time when we must be grateful. When times are hard, gratitude can get us through. When all seems lost, stop for a minute and look around you. Find one little thing for which you can be grateful. When it's raining outside and your roof is leaking and you have a bucket in the corner of the dining room to catch the drips, be grateful that you have a dining room and that all you're dodging is a drip. You could be living outside in the rain with no shelter at all. As Mike Iamelli says, even the bad times are happening for you if you just look for the gifts. Kayla Amy's first child came 15 weeks ahead of schedule. Her baby girl weighed 1 pound, 8 ounces. For more than a month, she was too small and too delicate for her mother to even hold her. She spent the first 156 days of her life in neonatal intensive care. She was constantly hooked up to tubes and monitors and just all kinds of equipment. Kayla could have been consumed with guilt, anger, and sadness over the situation. Instead, she found gratitude. She says, I discovered that while I could not bring myself to give thanks for my circumstances, I could still be thankful in them. She expressed her gratitude for the doctors and nurses who cared for her daughter. She expressed gratitude for all the moments she had with her baby girl. Her daughter is now a healthy 5-year-old. And Mom Kayla says she's so grateful for every little moment that she might have missed otherwise. The warmth of her hand in mine. The way she sings along to every song on the radio when they told us she probably wouldn't even talk. The way she spins the complete wrong way in dance class every day when they told us she wouldn't even walk. How about you? What do you have to be grateful for? I'm grateful for every moment of life I'm given and for every breath I take. My mom had a quote or a saying for everything. One of her favorites was, "I was upset because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet." In other words, be grateful for what you have. You're far better off than many others. But how do you practice this gratitude? It's actually quite simple. First, open your eyes. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Maybe your arthritis has been bothering you lately. Mine has. Maybe you had 1 hour that was pain-free. Be grateful for that. Maybe you saw that gorgeous sunset last night. Maybe somebody let you merge onto a crowded highway. Look for the little things. They're there if you just open your eyes and pay attention. Next, consider some way to capture the things for which you're grateful. Write in a gratitude journal. Studies show that taking the last 15 minutes of your day to write down those things that you're grateful for does make you sleep better. Or maybe you prefer to meditate, or to pray, or to use affirmations. There's no right or wrong thing to do. Do what works for you. And finally, express your gratitude today. You can give thanks on Thursday at the Thanksgiving table, but you don't have to wait until then. Do we only give presents on Christmas? Do you only tell your loved ones you love them on Valentine's Day? Maybe some do, but we shouldn't. When my mother was dying of cancer, she wanted flowers. She said, "I'm not going to be here to see them at the service. Bring me flowers now." And that's what we did. We kept her flooded in flowers to the point where it was like, okay, that's enough. But whatever you do, do it now. When that driver lets you merge on 95, give the little wave in the rearview mirror. Say thank you to your letter carrier for bringing your mail every day. Smile at the stranger behind you in line at the grocery store. Send an email or a handwritten thank you note to someone who's helped you. Say thanks again to those ancestors we talked about a couple of weeks ago, who paved the way for you to be here today. Appreciate your place in this interconnected web of existence. These don't have to be great and grand gestures, just authentic and honest ones. William Arthur Ward reminds us, God gave you a gift of 86,400 seconds today. Have you used one to say thank you? It's not that hard. Ward also tells us that gratitude can transform common days into Thanksgivings, turn routine jobs into joy, and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. He's right. It's all about perspective. Do as Steve Maraboli suggests. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, and then make that day count. Make gratitude a habit. Ralph Waldo Emerson instructs us to cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you and to give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. I'm grateful for this beautiful day. I'm grateful that each of you came out today. I'm grateful that the Spirit gave me words to speak and the ability to speak them. What are you grateful for? Name it. Start today. Start now. It's easy. All you got to say is, thank you. I leave you with the words of Christine Organ. May we remember that Thanksgiving isn't a day or a celebration. May we remember that the act of giving thanks is a daily commitment, an intentional act of love, a spiritual practice of sorts, and an understanding that we are all a little broken, that we are all desperately in need of grace. The act of giving thanks is gritty and clumsy, awkward and vulnerable, constant and filled with kind truth. May we remember that gratitude is a peaceful appreciation for the absolute privilege of life, with its inherent flaws, messiness, and organized chaos. May we remember that gratitude isn't just obligatory thank yous for gifts and favors or bold professions of our blessings. Gratitude is a deeply felt inner truth, a delicate art form to be practiced and refined over the course of a lifetime. This Saturday, and indeed every day, may we embrace a season of gratitude, abundantly full of the connective fibers of life and the very essence of what it means to be alive.